Hello, thank you for joining me. I begin with a couple of apologies. Firstly, this is a story of mine. If you're not interested, then just pass on by. I won't be upset. And secondly, it's going to be a little bit longer because I'm reading one of my blogs from my website before it disintegrated, went off with the fairies, whatever. And so I hope you're sitting comfortably. It's basically a Stop the World I Want to Get Off story, and it was entitled, as the blog, Breakdown on the M6, the M6 being my local motorway. So for around 15 years, I used to wend my way up and down the M6 through Cheshire amongst the motorbikes, cars, vans, lorries, and yet more lorries, all on a road to goodness knows where. My dread was breaking down during this journey, the worst case scenario being a blowout in the fast lane, during which I would swerve and lose control. In fact, I had a rather amusing discussion around the topic of accidents on the M6 with a man who took me out to dinner, having driven up from London to do so, and I should mention that that was a one-off, not a regular occurrence. Sadly, the conversation didn't really flow very easily. That's putting it mildly. And coming from one who isn't usually stuck for words, this was unusual. He asked where I worked, and I told him and explained that I therefore spent my mornings and evenings thrunging my way up and down the dreaded M6. He said that even he, as a southerner, had heard about the number of hold-ups and accidents that there were on this stretch of road. In an effort to lighten the conversation, I told him that I had a theory about why this happened, that it was in fact a UFO landing area. The UFOs, well, they weren't visible to us, so people crashed into them, leading to mayhem and long traffic jams. Wrong comment. Or rather, comment directed to the wrong person, as he lit up and said, "Oh, so you're a believer too?" Oh no. He then went on at great length about the aliens who had invaded Earth and impregnated humans, with this leading to us having much unused brain capacity, as they had far superior brains to we mere mortals. It was then either a case of how quickly can I possibly eat this meal without appearing totally rude or ending up with indigestion, or beam me up, Scotty. Sadly, there was no Captain Kirk or Spock to come to my rescue. In fact, early one misty morning on my stretch of the M6, my worst fears became my reality. A breakdown in the fast lane with traffic to my left and a van tailgating me for good measure. It was not, however, the car that had let me down, not even the dreaded tyre blowout, rather me. I, who had the complete and utter breakdown as the world as I knew it became a very scary place to be. my head became filled with my own aliens. I can recall feeling extremely anxious as I headed north. Then I was aware of being convinced that the lorries coming towards me, already lit with lights for Christmas, that they were being driven by pixies. I've absolutely no idea where such a thought could come from. Maybe those personal aliens again. All I knew was that above all else, and with no concerns for myself or others around me, I desperately needed to just stop my car, get out and run, and just keep on and on running. But I didn't want to pull onto the hard shoulder to do this. Rather, I fought against having to pull up in the central reservation and escape to the nearby fields filled with tempting, misty emptiness. No thought about how I'd get away from the car to the fields in the heavy early morning traffic. I plodded on, and I can remember it taking every single ounce of strength, every ounce of courage that I possessed to gradually get myself into the inside lane by focusing very hard on keeping a steady rate of breathing. Somehow I managed, causing no sudden braking by others and no bumps or scrapes. Somehow I even managed to drive to a meeting I was to attend, though I have absolutely no recall of how I got there. I walked in. I sat on a chair in a large circle of chairs, there in body alone, feeling so frightened and so very isolated amongst all of the people, hoping to hide in plain view like the aliens. My boss came over and asked if I was okay, and that was when the delayed run actually happened. No fields around in the middle of town, but I simply got up and fled. And I ran. Somehow I got to my car in the car park with my boss and a colleague tailing me. Any semblance of knowing what was happening to me was now completely melted away. I was lost. I had no idea who I was, but I knew for sure I wasn't me. Apparently, everyone but me had seen what a mess I was in. The pressure of a marriage split, the death of my father, a very pressurized job, the beginnings of my nest emptying. They'd all gathered up in a huge knot in my chest and moved up to nudge my brain into a seemingly far safer place than my totally out of control current cloud cuckoo land. I felt as if I was shutting down, having spent the past days, weeks, months adding more pressure by taking on an MA course, in the theory that if I had no spare time, I'd get better as no time to think about how much worse I was getting. There's common sense for you. Not. Long story short, I was escorted home and to my GP, constantly assuring my boss that I'd see her on Monday. It was, in fact, 2 years before I made that return to work. 2 years of living in my own world of deep depression. a hell on earth place of which to be a resident. I've subsequently spent many hours working with clients also suffering with depression. And even though I have walked my own path through this mire, I never assume that their route is the same as mine. We all have our own ways of coping with whatever life throws at us. My way was right for me. What I do is help my clients to find the way that is right for them. So out of this, what were my biggest disappointments? I'd completed all of the coursework and the research for my MA, but just didn't get this written up, even with a time extension. Also, how well-meaning people would tell me to pull your socks up. That one really rankled. And last but by no means least, the lack of understanding of people, and here I mean mainly medics, who I felt should have understood, but just had no idea. I have to say, I do like to think that since this happened to me, things have really improved. So what have I got from writing this? First of all, confirmation that I am a strong woman, and I'm not being boastful in saying that. I make no apology for this being largely about me, as I feel that there is far too much secrecy about mental health issues. The more we are able to tell our stories, hopefully, the more people will understand what it is to not be totally mentally healthy. They understand and make allowances for, say, a broken leg, but not when the problems cannot be seen. I've also got confirmation that even when things appear totally black, there is somewhere a tiny, tiny pinprick of light which, with gentle care, nurturing, can be encouraged to turn to a glimmer and hopefully to a flame leading us forward. And for me, this process was supported. I can't say how much. It was amazing support from a very caring friend who would drive over at all times of the day, as she told me afterwards, not knowing what on earth to expect. I owe her so much, as well as the two fluffy black cats who were with me at the time and would sit either side and just keep gently touching my cheeks with their paws. Finally, a knowledge that we can do it. We really, really can. But don't do what I did. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it, or if you feel that you're heading towards where you might need it. So if you've made it all the way through, thank you so much for sticking with me there. It was a lot of years ago, well, 20 plus years now, I suppose. And I do still have mental health issues, which I've openly talked about, but I now know when to say, sod it, to stop ending up back having that breakdown on the M6 or anywhere else at all. So listen to your body, tune into your body and act on it. Thank you so much for having the patience to listen to me. I appreciate it. And I will say, take care of yourself, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.